Hey, this is Andrew.
I'm Craig.
Right, you are, brother. And this is Stories with the Boys.
We finally learned how to record a podcast virtually. We did it.
You guys, you are right now in the making of history. We are recording a podcast through the internet. Can you believe it? So now all you gotta do is prepare yourself for constant interruptions, lag, and buffering.
Facts. Luckily, like every piece of content in the last 7 months has featured that, so we're good. We're just going to be on the same level.
Technically, I mean, we wouldn't even have that if we didn't want to, but we chose to have it because we actually want to be authentic like everyone else is.
Yeah. Yeah, no Band-Aids here. We're fucking...
Yeah.
We took the makeup off for today's episode. We're all natural.
Makeup off. Is there anything else you want to say before we start the epic horror movies bit? Any other news to tell the crowd? Any other updates? This is just a little update corner.
Other than I'll shout you out just because you've edited in every single episode of this podcast, and it's gotten this is the fourth one, but I listened to the last episode earlier today, and it just keeps getting better and better, and we're just gonna, we appreciate you. We were gonna initially take turns doing this. I have now realized that I'm not gonna ever edit an episode of this podcast. Because I don't, it's not going to sound the same. So, I can trim audio though. Check this out.
Yeah, bro. No, I did. Thank you for saying that, Craig. I didn't mean to steal the reins away from you. I didn't mean to steamroll you.
Oh no, we're better off. We're better off this way. But yeah, no. Other than that, yeah. Let's talk about some fucking spooky goddamn movies. It's fucking almost the middle of October. Let's just go. Let's get it. What, you want me to start or you want to start?
Number 5? All right. You know what? Yeah, you take the reins. What's your number 5 movie? Oh, let me explain to the audience really quick, just to recap what we're trying to do. We are simply we have a list of 5 horror movies. And what we're going to do is go from 5 to 1. That's it. And then we're just going to talk about each one and rate them. So Craig's going to start us off. Craig, what's your number 5 movie?
And I'm just going to throw in there also that we discussed this, but if you have a favorite in a series of movies, a la Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street, we have to pick a specific iteration of that as opposed to the whole series.
Yeah, you can. So, I like all of the Nightmare on Elm Streets. It's okay, we get that, but what one of those is your favorite?
Facts, which is where I come in with number 5, which is Friday the 13th, the 2009 remake.
Oh, and really?
The first 37 minutes of the film are literally the opening credits, basically. So it's so crazy because so much happens and also nothing happens. So he spends the first 37 minutes of this movie killing the shit out of people with a potato sack on his head. And then afterwards, which it's still important to the overall plot because the guy from Supernatural is his sister's in the opening credit version.
Right.
But he just kills them in some crazy fucking ways. And he hangs, he traps a girl in a tent and hangs it above a fire, and it's freaking disgusting. And then it's not really important to the rest of the movie, except for the fact that one of the guy's sisters is held captive by Jason for the rest of the movie. The only reason I picked this movie is because it's something I think about whenever people bring up scary movies, because it's literally 37 minutes before we get to the actual fucking movie. There's an hour of the real movie before he gets the hockey mask. Legitimately, it takes forever. And that's why I picked it, is just because the first 37 minutes you're oh, the movie's almost over already, isn't it? And then you're oh wait, we got an hour? We still got more shit to do? He's killed everybody, bro. And that's why. It's not because it's a good movie, because it's probably not. It's definitely not a good quality movie. It's fine, but it's memorable, and that's why I put it there.
Hey, I respect that 100%. Like that's a good point. It's got Jared Padalecki in it. That's the Supernatural
Sure do.
guy. So that's good. It's got Danielle Panabaker, so that's super cool if you're a Disney fan. Um, Go ahead and tell me your guess on what that got on Rotten Tomatoes, if this matters to you.
I would argue for a 15%.
You're shooting kind of low. It actually got a 26%.
You see some unique kills from him. So like, well, just the only one I know off the top of my head is like he uses a bow and arrow at one point, and I'm like, when have you ever seen that before from Jason? So it's like it's got the old school like portions of it, and like obviously the nod to the old stuff, and there's some new stuff, and it was 2009, so there was for sure like nudity and stuff like that as you can expect from an '09 horror movie. But no, I mean it's definitely like not a good movie, but like I'll take it.
It's objectively not a good movie, but it has a special place in your heart.
Yeah, and it's mostly because, and I literally saw it in theater, but it's all because the first 37 minutes are insane. That's the only reason.
Well, this translates well to your just attention span, because you tell me that's why you like basketball. It's just so quick and like, ooh yeah, bursts of action. So maybe you like this because, like Michael Jordan of the murder world, Jason Voorhees slashes through his bitches like it's like he's Jordan slashing through Detroit Pistons in 1997.
Man,
am I right, brother?
That's close. That's close.
Was it? Is it not? Was it not 97?
It was not in 97.
94.
Yeah, like 93, 92.
You're a bitch.
In that range. But no, it's close.
Okay, I tried. I really tried to relate to you, man.
It's cool. We can't all. It happens. But what's your number 5? Like, what do you got? What do you have to retort?
I kind of wanted to say like my little thing on Friday the 13th. I wanted to.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Let me know. How do you?
I've seen that movie somewhat recently, actually. Not this year, but in the past, like I'd say 3 years at least.
I've watched it earlier this year. I didn't watch the whole movie. I only watched the first 37 seconds because I was telling a friend about it, and I was like, "No, dead serious, check this out." Because I was like, it's the first 15 minutes of the movie where he's going crazy, and it ended up being 37 minutes. I was like, "Oh my fucking god!"
Go sicko mode, bro. What can you say?
Yeah.
It had a $19 million budget. Can you believe that?
No, I cannot believe that.
I personally, so I've never seen it until the first time I saw it that 2 or 3 years ago, and it was alright. That's all I can say. I can't remember too many details, but from what I did see, I was like, I'm cool with it.
Hell yeah.
It's the best I can give you.
Yeah, I respect it.
I do like the Friday the 13th franchise. I like what they have to offer. If I had to choose on the Friday the 13th movies that I've seen that I like the most, it's just got to go straight up to the first one.
I never respected the mother as the killer. I didn't like her.
That was awesome.
I was very much just like, give me, and maybe it's because I didn't see that one first, because like it's not something I had like on DVD growing up. It was something that would just pop on AMC every year, and I'd be like, "Ooh, Friday the 13th," and I'd just watch them completely out of order because it really doesn't matter.
Right.
So I didn't see the first one until probably last, honestly. And I just wasn't. I was like, oh, well, give me Jason. He's so much better.
Then that's why that is like that then. Because the first time you ever see any Friday the 13th and you watch that, because you go into Friday the 13th knowing Jason Voorhees. You know nothing else. You know, like, oh, that's a hockey mask killer boy. And then whenever you finally find out, spoiler alert. Wait, yeah, you already spoiled it. That it's his mom killing everybody. Then you're like, what? Ooh. And you just...
What?
That's a crazy little plot twist.
Yeah, dog.
All right, well,
it's insane.
Thank you for that number 5. That's an epic choice. Not one I would have done, but we can't all...
I would argue it's the best number 5 of all time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but it's cool. Whatever you got is probably fine.
I want to preface my list. I forgot to say this earlier, but just a little history about me really fast is that I did not get into horror movies until I was in late high school. So it was like 2014 at least. Because up until late high school, I was a quivering vagina at all times. Like I couldn't even do Goosebumps, the show, probably.
I would argue that vaginas are strong.
Not when they're quivering. That's why I used that
Okay.
That
I just want to make sure to the two women that listen to this podcast that they are
that's true.
appreciated.
Mom and Ren, you are respected. Anyway, so my number 5 is a little movie called Oculus. Have you heard of that?
Absolutely.
All right. So let me explain. This had to make my list, and I put it on the lowest end that I possibly could because of its just mere sentimental value. It's not great. It could be a lot better. But the premise of Oculus is simply that a brother and sister have a big old family squabble, and then I can't really go into too deep of details, but they have a family problem going on, and throughout the movie you get to see this whole family problem. But while you see that whole family problem take place, it's going back in time and into the future all at the same time. Um, and the whole premise is that this mirror that the family owns is cursed, and the mirror is making them do weird things. There are other entities being brought out by the mirror. There's just a lot of illusions and plot twisty kind of things going on. And the reason I chose this movie was because whenever, like I was just trying to explain in my prelude, I didn't get into horror movies, and this was actually the first horror movie. I saw the trailer for it. I was like, I need to buy it, and I purchased it on a DVD. I never watched it. Bought it on DVD, and I went over to my friend's house because I couldn't do it alone because I just wanted to get into the world of horror movies. I had no idea. I just wanted to try, and they were all with me, and I was watching it, and I look over, and my friends are asleep, so I'm inevitably watching it by myself. And I just remember having this very special little scare in my heart. Like, I got really spooked and scared, of course. And the movie itself was very average and all that, looking back on it. But during, I was very frightened. And a lot of they really tried with a lot of the plot twists. And so, yeah, there's a lot of genuinely good ideas. And, like, they implement some of them, but they could have done a lot better. But, just, it is what it is. And that's my number 5. Have you seen this?
I have never seen it. I do know of it. But yeah, I've never seen it. And you'll kind of see from my my list that I've never been on the side of the paranormal stuff.
Yeah.
I guess because I think it's those movies, because like you said, like there's so many like twists and turns. There's so many like things that could happen or won't happen, that like there's so many potential things that could happen with paranormal movies that like I tend to they lose me.
Because it's too out of the realm, essentially. Like, I don't want to use the word realistic, but they're just like, they could pull anything out of their ass.
Yeah, exactly. They could literally just be like, you could force anything to happen at
Right.
like any time that you want to.
Hey, I respect that for sure. But you're a fucking idiot. What kind of a fool can't keep up with a spooky Spectre movie? They're so good. For me, I will say on the contrary, on my end of things, I want to be thrown through just a roller coaster with no seatbelt. I don't want to know I want to think, oh, this is happening very clearly. And then all of a sudden, it's like, just kidding. And then now I'm like, oh, now we're over here. And then in the end, like, oh, I just love it when a horror movie takes me on a wild ride of emotions and plot twists.
Yeah, I respect that. I won't hate on it too bad. I'll be nice.
Beat your ass, boy.
You piece of shit. You absolute piece of shit.
All right, what's your number 4, buddy?
My number 4 of all time here.
Yep.
And it's the original Scream. So the first Scream is my number 4. It is delightful if you've ever seen Scream. So for those who haven't seen it, it's 20 years old. Fuck you.
You elderly fuck.
And to people who have seen it, I mean, it's got a great cast featuring Courtney Cox and David Arquette as well.
What's his name? Adam Lillard?
Matthew Lillard.
Matthew, not Adam. Matthew.
Jamie Kennedy, who was a freaking rock star in the 2000s.
So was Courtney Cox.
And Courtney Cox, of course. And David Arquette was tremendous. But, it's got a good cast, believable cast. it pokes fun at horror movies while being a horror movie, and it just has all these great elements of like all of that stuff in between it. I like all of the Scream movies personally. Like I think they're really good. So a lot of people have some things to say about 3 and 4, but I really like all of them, and I think they did a really good job with the whole thing. I can't wait till they make the 5th one. But the first one is a go-to for me, just
They're making a
because
5th one?
I think they really are. Yeah, no joke.
That's
Um,
badass.
but the original is just I think is like a go-to because, like I said, it pokes fun at being a horror movie, and it's a horror movie. The best part, and once again, spoilers: Drew Barrymore is in it. She was type. Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, my bad. I don't want to hear the spoiler because I'll tell you why.
Oh, okay. Okay. So, you've never seen it?
Yeah, give me a
Okay.
sec.
So I'm not gonna spoil it.
Okay,
I
thank
won't.
you.
But I want you to know going into this movie that Drew Barrymore was all over the press tour and was like a huge factor of this movie, like going into promotion and stuff like that. So I just want you to keep that in mind. And I believe it's on Netflix, and you should absolutely watch it.
It is. All right, I should have interjected, but I wanted you to finish. I didn't want to be a rude bitch. So basically, I'm going to tell you a quick story. I was with my buddy in college, and he knew I liked horror movies, so he would always be like, yeah, let's watch some. And then eventually, like, I would always choose them. And then one day he was like, hey, have you ever seen Scream? Like, obviously you've seen Scream, right? And I was like, actually, I haven't. Because, like I mentioned, I didn't get into horror movies until late high school, so I missed a lot of these good classics. So he was like, dude, you have to watch it. It's a phenomenal movie. And I was like, okay. And so we were laying in the same bed, shirtless together, just watching it. And all of a sudden, I started to see so many similarities to Scary Movie 1. Like, I did not know that Scary Movie 1 did such a good job at, like,
Dude,
ripping it off.
no joke. Like Scary Movie 1, and that's why the Scary Movie series is so like the spoofs. Like that first one is so genius because it's
It's good.
literally like every element about that movie is like the fucking same. Like they
Legit,
do
yeah.
such a good job with it, and they basically poke fun at they poke fun at a few other horror movies, but
Right.
not really.
Right.
Like it's mostly Scream,
Right.
and there's somehow like I know you did last summer stuff in there, but like, it's almost all Scream, and like they did such a good job that like I wouldn't doubt it if someone never knew that that's what like it was spoofing.
Right.
Like it just seems like
Because it was like
crazy.
Yeah, no. And so what ended up happening was, unfortunately, I was just a little bitch, and I kept saying stuff like, wow, this really reminds me of the Scary Movie, and I just kept saying it, apparently. I don't remember saying it that many times, but he'll tell you all day that I just wouldn't shut up about it, which I believe. And so he was like, I can't watch this movie anymore with you. And I was like, what? And then he literally shut it off. And I was like, oh. And so to that day, I have not rewatched it, so I probably got about like 30 minutes in.
Yeah, you need to rewatch it because even the opening scene of
I do remember the
Scary Movie.
Yeah.
So the opening scene of Scary Movie to Scream like identical. Like because they're like, oh wow, Carmen Electra is in this movie, and you're gonna love Carmen Electra.
Yeah, no, I noticed that. So it is on my list for this year, and I know it is on Netflix. And also, speaking of that, like really quickly, Oculus is also on Netflix if you want to check that out.
Hell yeah.
And Friday the 13th, the 2009 version, actually, if you want to check that out.
It sure is. We're only Netflix originals here. I think I'm gonna stray away from that very soon. But
yeah, me too.
But at least so far, very stream friendly.
Yeah, we're trying to get the lighter best ones are just on any streaming device. But yeah, Scream is on my list. I genuinely, for just like a super real opinion, the Ghostface killer is such a genius. Like that is a genuinely scary figure in my eyes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that mask
and just
and the cloak.
Yeah. Just another thing. So this is just a random stupid tidbit about that. Another thing about that in Scream. So the guy who plays Sydney's boyfriend in Scream
Sydney
is in Riverdale.
Huh?
And then the guy who beats the shit out of Cindy in Scary Movie 1, who's like dating one of the other girls, is also in Riverdale. That's just a fun fact that connects those movies even fucking further.
Hey, Craig, no one cares. Anyway.
I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm just kidding. That was so rude of me. I'll probably even just cut that out.
Don't
Even though I was just goofing. I was just goofing, all right? I care.
If you guys call the police, please.
Did you ever watch Riverdale like all the way through?
We were watching it. I watched a couple seasons, and then I was like, oh no, this is getting real far up its own ass quick.
You thought that I did the exact same thing. First season, great. Second season, I was like, what are you doing? And then third, I was like, okay. So
yeah, it's getting pretty. I haven't watched it in a long time, but the first season was really good.
I agree. Give that a check out. But no,
it's not on Netflix. It actually probably is. I don't fucking know.
Well, who cares? Actually, it is on Netflix. That's where I watched it.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
All right, number 4.
My number 4. I'm gonna take a little trip down Slasher City. I take a little note from your book. I chose for my number 4 Halloween. 2018 version.
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So I want to give credit number 1 to the original Halloween. That was a fantastic movie. Really good job. I think that John Carpenter is a brilliant director. He did such a good job figuring out the score. Great movie. I almost chose that one. Also, just to give credit where credit is due, Rob Zombie's version. Fantastic Halloween remake. So good. That did way more on the childhood of Mr. Michael Myers. Awesome. I chose the 2018 version because it's just more modern. I know that people don't like that, and you can ask anyone. I am super into like 80s horror, like 80s genre stuff in general. But for some reason, the 2018, the killer, so Michael Myers is after kids, like teenagers that I can relate to more versus like Jamie Lee Curtis, who was obviously like 46 at the time of creating the first or second Halloween, whatever it was. Basically, I couldn't relate to these 90-year-olds that were passing off like these young ladies. But now they look like 14-year-olds. So I'm like, all right. So now I can see genuine horror coming from their faces. And it's just like they did a lot of interesting kills. There was a really cool plot twist in the middle of the movie that I didn't see coming. Just overall production and cinematography. Jamie Lee Curtis is back and she's looking as ancient as ever.
She's eternally old as shit.
She's like, I will remain sustained as long as you keep buying Activia.
Today's episode is brought to you by Activia. Jamie Lee Curtis will let you know that you can't run away from Michael Myers if your bowels aren't working right. Activia. Yogurt that helps you poop.
But I really enjoyed it. Ending was good. They opened it up for a second one. John Carpenter actually helped with this movie a little bit, like especially when it came to the soundtrack. So the score, I respect it. Really fun. If you have not seen it, I recommend watching it for sure. Have you seen it?
I actually have not seen it. Ooh. I want to see it really bad just because I haven't. Like, I also really enjoyed the Halloween movies, like all of them.
Yeah.
Like, and I think the last time we saw Jamie Lee Curtis was in that H2O movie, right?
Yeah, it was the second one. I was tripping.
Mm-hmm. So she does a great job in those movies.
Yeah.
And she's the original Scream Queen and all that stuff. So yeah. I really want to see that because I'm glad that she's back.
Hell yeah, better than ever.
Then you leave the open in for the second one, which is obviously confirmed and I think fucking done.
I think so, yeah. Or at least.
And then the problem I have with this new trilogy of movies that they're making is that they they left you on a cliffhanger, like, oh, they're gonna do this again, aren't they? And then they confirm they're doing it again,
right.
And then they released, like, at the same time they're like, yeah, that's right, we're doing 2 more back-to-back Halloween movies, like year after year. And I'm like, yeah, but so we know it's not gonna end. Like, give me that. That's right. The beauty of these movies is that, like, they always stick their hand in the air when you think they're dead or buried, and like now it's a guarantee more than likely in this next one.
There's no question, like, after the second movie, you will not at any point be like, oh, he's gonna die, and so it might be over. Ooh, like, that's half the fun, kinda. I see that.
Yeah, but in the end, it's still going to be great, and then it builds up a more suspense to the last one, which I'm sure will be great too. But
Right.
no, I haven't seen it yet, but I do want to see it because
Yeah.
Michael Myers he's not. I literally don't have a single Halloween movie on my list, but I think he's probably the GOAT.
Right.
And
No. And I forgot to mention, that's what I was trying to say about how like I was going to get to that as well. I think if you're talking like you got Freddy, you got like Michael, and then you got Jason, I 100% am fearing Michael Myers more every time. I don't know why, just that he is his mask especially, I don't know. Scary boy.
yeah, not a lot of dudes come with their own soundtracks.
Ding 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 ding. That one?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I guess Freddy has his own song too, so it's not that crazy.
What was Freddy's?
And I guess his is the 1-2, Freddy's coming for you, all that shit with the little girls jump roping.
He has his own fucking limerick. He's a little bitch.
Hey, dude, it's like a nursery rhyme. And Jason, like there is a Friday the 13th song, but it's not like about Jason.
No, but he just goes the ka 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 e e.
Yeah,
so that's like his.
He got his own drop. He doesn't have a soundtrack.
So that was my number 4, Halloween 2018.
All right, here I'm coming in hot with number 3. I think we watched this movie together, but we may not.
Did you already? Oh, you already did number 4.
Yeah, 4 was my Scream. Yeah, my Scream, not anybody else's. So my number 3, and like I said, I think we watched this together. I'm not 100% certain. I know it was a big group of friends that I watched it with, and if you weren't there, then that says a lot about us. But number 3 is, I think it's either Martyr or Martyrs, and I don't know. Does this ring a bell?
No.
Okay.
We're not really.
I'm gonna spoil the beginning.
That's fine.
Yeah, I'm gonna spoil the beginning of the movie right here, right now, live in Wisconsin.
If you need to skip ahead 15 seconds, do it.
Yeah. So, fucking opening the scene, a family is at breakfast, right? And like casual. The mom, the dad's cooking breakfast. The mom, like, they need to go fix like a water line or something. So she's like, I'll go fix it. And so oh wow, how progressive is this movie? The man's cooking, the woman is out there fixing stuff. That's like my household, except I also don't cook that much. I'm a lazy piece of shit. Yeah. But so they go back to having breakfast, and then the door rings, knock knock, and the mom goes and opens the door, and she gets blasted with a shotgun so fucking hard, dude. Like,
oh no,
she falls back, and it's a massacre. He freaking goes in on these people, and it's crazy. And so this is a French movie, by the way. So subtitles are for sure needed. I think there is a Canadian version, but it's not as good from what I understand. The French version was really, really good. But so the basis of this movie is like these people get like kidnapped and held hostage, basically. And so what they're trying to do is hurt somebody to the point of death, but like not to the point that they can't be saved, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
They try to edge people.
So they're trying to edge people for the sole purpose that they can say, here's what heaven looks like, or here's what hell or whatever is on the other side looks like, because it ends up being like a cult thing. And so like they get this girl, and she eventually experiences it and like is able to tell them. And she tells one guy out of the whole group, and he's like the guy that tortures her or whatever. But like this whole movie, like every day she's like, they're like, here's your breakfast, and she's like, oh, sick, it tastes like shit, but at least they're feeding me. And then she eats it, and then some big fucking Jason Statham looking motherfucker beats the shit out of her every day.
Oh no.
Because they're trying to like build her tolerance up,
right? So
that way every day they can push her more and more and more, and you're just like, what the fuck? But it's like one of those movies. It's I don't like, it's not something that I usually fuck with, but I think it was like, it made me sit there and like, I don't know, I was just like, what the fuck did I just see? Like, this is such a crazy movie on such a wild ride, and I think that's why I enjoyed it, because it like I said, it's not a movie I would typically watch, but it gets you. It's got a lot of twists, and it gives you some like. There's some moments that like made me laugh as a person just because they're so like over the top. And it's a sick-minded thing. Like when the mom opened that door at the start and got capped, I did laugh because I was like, Jesus fucking Christ, that was insane. How does that just? She got blasted. And then like the first, what say it again?
What did you do with your boner?
I tucked it. Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. I didn't want
But so like that part gave me like a giggle. Just go, I was like, that's insane. Like that's a weird way to cap this off. And then the first time that the Jason Statham motherfucker goes in there and like just beats the fuck out of her, I'm like, what the fuck is going on, dude? I'm like, you can't just go in there and beat this chick. And then like, you know, eventually you realize what's going on. You're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's a genuinely just kind of it's a freaky movie. Like some of the shit they do to her is absolutely horrid, cringy, and just absolutely like off the wall disgusting. So it's one of those, if you're into that kind of stuff, which I hope you're not in real life, but like if you like those kind of horror movies where it's definitely, I've heard things that, like people say that it's literally the scariest movie ever, which is obviously subjective, but I've heard that from like a ton of like websites and stuff. I don't remember if it's called Martyr or Martyrs. I think it's with an S, but it's like legitimately like fucking just fucked up completely.
That's interesting. I've never even heard of it. I mean, I guess if it's French, it's foreign. I probably wouldn't have dinged on my radar. But Oh, that sounds fun though. I mean, like thanks for the invite first of all, but for that little movie session. But yeah, no, I don't know if I would.
I would never have sought it out myself. It was literally they're like, hey, we're watching a movie tonight, and I have nothing better to do, and I was like, sick, let's go. And they're like, we're watching literally the scariest movie of all time. And I was like, okay.
Like, I guess I'll just do it.
Yeah, if you're going to force me to, whatever.
Okay, well, cool. No, I've never heard of it or seen it, so I can't really add my own little tidbit on that. So, but no, yeah, that's a good, like, that's something out of left field. Like, I wouldn't expect that on your list, so good job.
Hell yeah, dog. We out here. We're surprising the audience. They thought they knew me when I picked Friday and Scream.
That's true. That's pretty predictable, kind of. But then you're like, now Martyrs. I'm going to tell Trump, though, that you support the French.
You're going to tell Trump that?
Yeah, I'm going to be like, hey, Donald. My number 3 is a little movie I like to call Hereditary. Have you heard of that?
I have heard of that.
Have you seen that?
Once again, I have not seen it.
Okay, but it was on your radar. You've heard, it's in the old noodle somewhere.
It's in the brain.
It's in the brain. Okay, so Hereditary. It was me and several friends, and we were just trying to find a horror movie, as one does. And I've heard of Hereditary prior to this, and apparently people loved it. And everyone was like, this movie is fucking scary. Like, it makes you really, it's like psychologically scarring, I guess. And so I was like, better do that. And so I watched it, and if you watch the trailer for this bad boy, go ahead and throw that shit away. That's irrelevant to you. Because when you go into the movie, you're going to be like, the trailer didn't help you understand anything, and the movie doesn't help you understand anything until the very end. So you just need to go into it just stumble across it someday and then turn it on if you actually want to get spooked a little bit. This one is about, I forgot the actress's name, but it has Nat Wolff in it, I think. So
from the Naked Brothers band.
Yeah, dude, that's the main guy, man.
That's fucking tight, dude.
He did a really good job. I will admit that. It is an A21 film, like the production company. So I usually don't like their films because they do, like, I guess, eccentric, for lack of a better term, stuff just for the sake of trying to be different, because all those artsy kind of shitty ways to do things is like unsettling, but people are like, it's art, you wouldn't understand. I'm like, that's bullshit. But I will give them full credit to Hereditary, because that movie spooked my jeans off. You know, you get like halfway through and you don't really know what's going on, but then the movie picks up right at like the halfway point, if that, and then it just starts going and going. And then at the very, like, there's like unsettling imagery, not just like theme, but like imagery. Like, you'll see stuff and it's not like gory or anything like that. It's just like you'll see stuff that they don't even like address, and it's the fact that they don't mention it or atone to it or do anything about it is like super unsettling, and I can't describe it. And then in the end, it's kind of the ending was okay. It could have done something more plot twisty, but it was definitely enough to where I was like, that was good for what this movie was. So that was my that was my number 3 because it was genuinely like I got scared. A friend and I will still to this very day, like the one that watched it with me, she says she thinks about like one particular scene like every so often, like it just pops in her head like an intrusive thought. And that's the same thing for me too. Like every now and then I'll like see this image that like kind of replays in my head, and I'm like, that's how you know it's a good movie if it literally plants itself inside your brain.
Yeah, I have my number 2 is one of those. So I'll wrap up with I'll like give my 2 cents here real quick. But
For sure.
I like that in a movie where like here's the trailer, and Scream did that too, where they're like here's the trailer, and then you get there and it's just a completely different movie, and you're like, what the fuck, dude? Like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. Like Paranormal Activity, like, you know, you watch the trailer, you're like, okay, so that's what they film it themselves kind of movie, and you know exactly what's happening and cool, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
And you know, same with slashers. We know what's gonna happen. He's gonna kill like at least all but 2 of them,
Right.
and and then they're gonna beat him, but he's never dead. So like super predictable stuff. So I always like it when they don't do that in just any movie in general. But I also get that you kind of got to get people in the seats somehow, and that's why artsy fucking movies like that don't work out. But
it works out for a lot of people, but I don't see the appeal. Yeah.
Yeah, like Scream did it, and Scream's super successful, but they also could have absolutely tanked that fucking movie. And from just I guess I'll just say it because I haven't seen it, but like, you know, I assume that's what happened to this one. Kinda is that it probably didn't do very well.
I don't think so.
So like it's a risk you run when you do that, but I always appreciate that because it's like you know, we're just gonna. You're coming in here, you're expecting some spooks, and we're gonna scare the living shit out of you instead. And you're like, oh no.
Please, no. Actually, that's what you come for, so yes, please.
But maybe not that much, right?
Yeah, no, stuff that like lingers with you for the rest of your life. That stuff is like, all right. And I haven't seen it for like a year or 2. I need to watch it again this year. So if you haven't seen it, I would 100% give that a go if you actually want to be a little spooked. Maybe it won't do the same thing that it did for me and my friend. You could just watch it and be like, it was good. For us, it was like, woo. So.
Yeah, that's fair. So on to number 2. We're getting close, man. We're getting there. Number 2 is, so like I said, this does this to me with a friend, and we didn't watch this movie together, but like one day she was describing it, and I was like, bro, it's in here too. Like it's in my dome. I know what you're talking about. And she's like, oh my fucking God. And then we eventually like, I still don't think we ever watched it together, but now I know the name of it, and like, and it's engraved in my brain forever. And it's called The Collector. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Never seen it. I have heard of it, and I've watched the trailer. Like I did the thing where I had it on Netflix, and it was playing the trailer, and I was like about to watch it, and then I was like, and I just didn't.
Yeah, if it's on Netflix, I need to watch it.
It was a while ago.
Yeah. So basically, like the beginning of the movie, you see like there's you're at a nightclub or something, and like someone goes into a room, and there's a box, and then they open the box, and basically it's just like a way for whoever's doing this to put you in the box. So it's like that's what Roddy Ricch was singing about, I think. But so that happens, and like whatever, and then you cut to like this family, or it has like basically you're following a burglar, and so the burglar's casing this big house, you know, middle class family, probably got nice stuff in the house, probably got money, the kind of family that has a lockbox or a safe with valuable items in it, basically.
Yeah.
And so he's casing this house, and he goes to break in, nobody's there, and eventually he realized like he's like robbing him, and he eventually there's like booby traps throughout this house, and he's like, holy shit, Like, this is crazy. And he like gets down to the basement, and the whole family is like being tortured down in the basement, and it's fucking insane. And you see the actual, so like, this burglar turns into the protagonist all of a sudden,
Right.
and the collector guy's wearing this fucking scary mask. Like, it's absolutely horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, his eyes are like green, and you're like, holy shit, you're scary. And so like he spends the movie trying to help them in the end. And like just the things he does, and like the way he tries to like trap him is like so much insane. And there are other iterations of this movie, but the first one is so like distinct. Like, he puts acid on the floor of a room that he like has to go into. So he like goes in there, and he like steps one step, and he's like, holy shit, and he has to like basically play the floor as lava in real life. And it's like there's so much like just absolutely thrilling, like close moments, and you're like, oh my god, man. And then once again, he's just so scary. I don't remember how that movie ended. It's probably been 10 years.
Oh wow. But it really just held to you.
Yeah, the guy freaked me the fuck out. And then some of the like booby traps and stuff, like, and that's what I was going for with this list for the most part, was like what has stuck with me throughout the time. Because every horror movie, like, most of them are the same shit, and they all have, you know, random horror names. But this one, I was always like, oofy.
Well, cool. No, yeah, I need to give that a watch then. And like I said, it was just so close for me to gander at it, but I just didn't commit. So I'm kind of bummed I didn't.
It's a wild ride, man. It's one of those, like I said, it's stuck with you. I watched that, and one other movie has like stuck with me that me and that friend talk about, but we actually watched the other one together. But that's irrelevant to this. But it's still like, you're like, man,
yeah,
we're like, it's fucking, some shit sticks with you and it freaks you the fuck out, and you're like, damn.
That's true, and that's a good point that you brought on the last one on Hereditary. Yeah, sometimes just some things stick with people, and it really just messes with them. I think that's the cool thing of a horror movie, is that for some people it can be genuine fear, and then for others it's just like, it's average. Because if I watch it and I was like, for you, you'd be like, are you kidding me? Like, that's scary as shit. But like, if you watched Hereditary and you were like, and then I was like, what? You know, like, it's just cool. It's like a cool psyche thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think movies you have to kind of cater to my brain personally to get me to like, because like slasher movies, like I said, they're all the same. I know what's happening. There's not a whole lot of parts in those movies that'll jump scare me. I'm more just like intrigued about, like, you know, I'm mostly just like, let me see creative kills, let me see like likable characters. That's what I'm looking for. And in those movies, but like in Martyr and in The Collector, like, those movies are like, there's some fucked up shit. And it legitimately, like, the drive home is weird. You're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
I just watch?
That's the cool thing. Yeah. But not in like a gory, because sometimes people confuse that with like disgusting gore that like really unsettles you just to unsettle you. You know what I mean? Like,
right. The preface, I hate that shit. That's the worst.
Yeah.
I think that's the lowest like common denominator of horror movies. Is just like, let's just spray blood all over to spray blood because we have the extra money in the budget. Like, I don't need all that. I need, like, and people are starting to get better at this, but is like, I just need creativity, like, with the way that this killer or antagonist is doing what he's doing. And I just want, like, you know, every character in every scary movie from the 80s is a throwaway. You'll never see them again. They're all throwaways. So if you can like get me to like a character in a horror movie, like, you're doing stuff right.
True. I agree with that wholeheartedly. All right. Well, that was a cool number 2. All right. So mine, on my end of things, mine's kind of goes back to another homage of sentimental value a little bit. But my number 2 is a little thing called Fright Night. Ever heard of that?
I love Fortnite.
Get some dubs, bro. No, Fright Night.
I actually don't think I've seen that either.
My goodness, we have a big movie marathon to go through, Craig.
We're having a tough time, yeah.
Fright Night is a 1980s phenomenal movie. Oh, I guess I should explain. There's 2 Fright Nights. There's the like 80s Fright Night, and then they redid it in 2011. Both are really good. just a little respect. But I will just continue to talk about the original Fright Night. And so I love the 80s time period. This is about just a suburban family, a mom and a son. That's all they are. And then the next door neighbor comes through, and he's a handsome, dashing young man. And the mom's a little like, ooh, whoa. But the son has, for some reason, like, started to stalk him. Like, he's just like, this guy seems weird. I don't know about this guy. So he tries to stalk him in his room. And then he witnessed this man, like, very early in the movie, he witnesses this man just rip apart a woman's neck. Just go for it.
Hell yeah.
Through the window. And so the whole thing is that the guy is a vampugler, a vampire, if you will, and the kid, it's like that does that fun horror movie trope where the protagonist knows that the bad guy is a bad guy. The bad guy doesn't quite know that the protagonist knows. So it does this fun thing where, like, he's trying to play it cool, but it's hard to do that when you're face to face with a monster, and he tries to help some of the victim. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it. Very, very beautifully directed. There are a few annoying parts if you can get past them. The protagonist's girlfriend, and maybe this is just because it was in the 80s, she can be extremely unreasonably annoying I don't know. She can just be like in one scene, he's like watching the news because someone was murdered in his street, and she was trying to talk to him about something so stupid and mundane. But because he was watching his neighbor getting killed on the TV, for some reason he was focused on that. She got triggered because he wasn't paying attention to her, so she poured a shake on his head, and I was like, hey, he's seeing his neighbor dying on TV. He probably should check that out, and you should understand that. So there's the little things like here and there like that, but it has his side friend is a super cool character. A lot of things that go the route you don't expect it to go. The ending's very predictable, but the whole movie is a fun ride if you love like the Halloween time genre, and if you like 80s like vampire flick thing. That's the cool thing too. It wasn't just like a normal 80s horror movie. It was like a special little thing. So that would be my number 2.
Hell yeah. I like that. That's good shit.
Yeah,
I like the dance there. Like, yeah, like I know you're doing this shit, but like I got to figure out how to prove it.
Right. Exactly.
A comparable. Oh man, I can't remember the fucking name of the movie.
Stuart Little.
Yeah, Stuart Little too. Actually,
yeah.
One. No, but if you don't, you might remember it. It's a Shia LaBeouf movie with Megan Fox, or maybe it's not Megan Fox.
Transformers?
No, that's Transformers. Yeah, no, it's a different woman. Oh, no. Oh man, what is that movie called? Either they're like neighbors or whatever, and like he sees, like he's like almost certain that his neighbor, like their like neighbor across the street, like killed a woman, and he's trying to like prove it, and so they like stake out at his house all the time, and he figures out pretty quick that they know, and he knows that they know, and they all know each other knows, and they're like, damn.
That's a fun one.
Yeah, so I like that shit because like
I do too.
You know it's gonna pop off, but it's just win.
Win, exactly. Yeah. What about? I always forget that I'm the one right behind you. I was like, "What's your number 2, bro?" But I know.
Number 1, bro. Is
number
here.
1. All right, let's get it. Number 1.
It's The Strangers.
Dude, okay, I want to be honest. I really, for some reason, I wish you would have let me guess, because for some reason I was like, he's gonna pick The Strangers number 1, no doubt. And
yeah,
that's awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah. So quick recap. It's these two people driving home from what I assume was not a good event. They're like a couple,
right?
And the aura in the car is gloom. So they're going into this. I don't know if it's a vacation rental or what they're doing. Maybe it's their second home. I don't know. But like I said, real gloom, and then knock at the door, and it's
is
this,
Tara
like,
home?
Yeah, this woman, she's like, "Is Tara home?" And they're like, "Nah, no Tara here, fam. Get the fuck off my property."
Beat it, dweeb.
No, they're super nice about it, and then there's shit just keeps happening. But like, and this place is in the middle of nowhere, and then basically this group of people just tortures this couple. Not like torture, but like
like mentally torture them.
yeah, like mentally is like on them all night long. And
trying to get them.
yeah, and then eventually they do, and then they're like, "Why are you doing this to us?" And they're like, "Oh, because you were home."
Yeah.
And you're like, "Bro."
Yeah.
And like, I know you can relate to this because I lived in the country when I saw this movie, bro. And that shit is like, that could just really happen to me at any time
Yeah.
because like I live in the middle of nowhere and there's not much I can do. If you cut my phone lines and like keep me from driving, like, yeah,
I'm
I'm
fucked. Yeah.
completely at your mercy.
Yeah.
And that's what you did to them. And you're like, bro, that's too real for me. But
Yeah.
and it's not, probably not the scariest movie of all time, but I think nothing that they do in that movie is like unrealistic
Right.
for the I'm sure there's something in there, but nothing on the top of my head is like unrealistic about that movie. Everything is absolutely plausible and could just be done to my, at the time I was probably like 8 or 9, but like could have happened to me at 8 or 9 years old just chilling at home.
Yeah, exactly.
And fucking horrifying.
It's just one of those movies where, yeah, like you said, not that it's super realistic. I mean, it can't, but it very well can be though.
Yeah.
Like that's a cool thing about a horror movie like that is that it can very well be a very bad real thing that could happen. It's unreal. It's unlike realistic that will in terms of like the odds of that happening pretty slim. You just kind of have to trust the general vicinity of your household in the country that won't happen, of people. Like, hey guys, please don't do this to me. So that's really scary. That's like a genuine, like, if you take away, like, I'm going to be scared to go home for my life, that's a good horror movie.
Facts.
No, that movie was a great choice. I love all the twists and turns in that, and how it kind of ends was anytime that the villain just says, just because we want to, that shit is scary. Like, what are you gonna do? Because you can't even be like, that's a bad ending, like that's unrealistic. Why would they say that? Because they're just fucking crazy. They want to hurt people. You know?
Well, and then of course, like you think, because like I said, the beginning of the movie is very gloom.
Yeah.
Obviously, whatever they were doing did not go well. And is the woman in that movie Liv Tyler? I don't fucking.
I'm not
if
sure.
it is, I'm gonna freak out. But like like I said, it's super like they the way their day was going, it is Liv Tyler. They very well probably didn't want to go there. So like they were probably like, I wish I was going elsewhere because whatever we just did is not working. So we should probably not. But he's probably like, we paid for it, and we gotta go. And it probably felt like an obligation. And then to get fucking straight up murdered and tortured all night long, bro, like that would absolutely piss. Like
this is the cherry on top of a shitty Sunday.
If there's a heaven, she was like, we have to go. Like definitely was like, fuck you for making us go.
Yeah,
we're dead now.
Yeah, no, I agree to that. They did a really good job directorially of making you feel that like melancholy and that sadness, like just like that shit at the beginning. They put you in the right mood to get in this unsettling moment of the movie for sure. And the masks were scary too that they were wearing.
Yeah, they were pretty creepy. It was like very purgy.
Purgy, yeah, that's a word. But good choice. All right, very good choice for number 1. Mine is a bit, I don't know if you would say cop out or traditional, but I have to 100% give my number 1 rating to The Shining. Have you seen this?
I have seen The Shining.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, it's a classic. Absolutely.
It is 100% a classic. The explanation just for why I chose The Shining was because I actually, if we're going to be honest, because I told you in an earlier podcast, episode 1, check that out. I told you that I was into cinematography. Okay, that's very important to me. Stanley Kubrick directed this movie, The Shining, and he took Stephen King's story, and they fought. They didn't like each other. Stephen King hated The Shining, even though Stephen King wrote the book The Shining. Stanley Kubrick had little subtle jokes in the movie, like bashing on Stephen King. It's a whole story. You read up on it sometime. But this movie's cinematography and directorial choices were absolutely masterpieces. I don't know how to describe it aside from if you can just take a second and rip it apart in that way, you'll understand that like the mood was set exactly to where you need to be at the exact time it needed to happen. The character's development was just perfect to where you felt exactly what the director wanted you to feel like at the exact time you needed to feel that emotion. Um, you progress with the main character, which was oh fuck, what was his name? Oh my goodness, what's his name? Jack Nicholson.
Oh,
Jack Nicholson.
yeah.
Jack Nicholson. Also, if we're just going on acting, phenomenal. I can't even say a better actor off the top of my head at all. Superb. The little kid could have done better, but he's a little bitch anyway. Who cares? Yeah, the kid did amazing. There's a lot of unsettling moments. The entire movie, Stanley Kubrick, he is just trying to make you feel uncomfortable, and not in like that weird artistic way like we mentioned earlier. More just like you just feel unsettled. The score itself, the music was absolutely in your head the entire moment. At one point, they're just driving and you hear like a big horn over, and like you're just watching this thing and you're just like, why do I feel weird watching them driving down a road? And you can just tell as the movie's progressing that Jack Nicholson is being more aggressive with his wife, and the wife, oh my goodness, I forgot her name as well, but like the actress's name, but whoever they chose for her, she looks disgusting. And I don't know if that was like just her presence made it scarier. Yeah, oh, Shelley Duvall, that's her name. So yeah, just the entire movie just takes you on this very, very deep psychological ride that just fucks with you. And then everyone knows like those famous scenes, and that was improv. Like the "Here's Johnny" part was improv. I will say that Stanley Kubrick is not a great director to work for, and that's why it looks as good as it does. Because Jack Nicholson and Shelley Duvall left very angry. Like they ended the movie and they were like, that was incredibly stressful and awful to work for. But amazing performances nonetheless. Truly, truly a masterpiece, I think. I don't know how else to describe it besides that. So if you have not seen it, I deeply implore you to check that out. And I can go on, but for time's sake, I'll leave it at what I've said.
Yeah, I mean, it's a classic. It's absolutely a classic. For some reason, I never think of it as like a horror movie because it's such a classic. Is that weird to say? Like, it doesn't. Maybe it's just I haven't watched it recently enough, but like, it just doesn't feel like a horror movie when anyone talks about it. Like the little girls, like is creepy, and then obviously when you're getting chased with an axe, that's scary stuff. But like, the rest of it didn't feel.
I will say,
like I said, maybe it's been a while.
No, it has. I will say right now, if you've seen it when you were younger and you're like, like even high school or even like early college, I need you to like, even at the age of like 23 and up, 24, when you can understand it deeper, and maybe if you have film experience in general, now watch it. Because I guarantee you will see stuff you missed and you will be like, so, okay, I understand now. Because once you understand what's actually happening overall, you're going to be like, this is amazing.
Hell yeah, I like that.
So yeah, those were our top 5. Well, I guess technically top 10, if we're being like that.
We did it. That's fucking crushed it. Absolutely crushed it.
Yeah, we've done it, guys.
It's 4 straight 5-star podcasts to start this thing.
Welcome to the show.
We've won. We're officially. I just got the phone call, but we're getting all the awards for whatever podcast awards are.
Oh, finally! I was wondering how to get here. Geez, it took long enough.
Yeah, I was getting kind of anxious too.
I want to take a sec to say a few honorable mentions that I wrote down, but I didn't put on the list. And I'm not going to talk about them. I just want to say like that they were on here, just for respect's sake. Number 1, Us by Jordan Peele, fantastic movie. And Get Out by him as well is super good. If you haven't seen if you've seen The Shining, go ahead and watch Doctor Sleep. Fantastic sequel, essentially. And I really, really, really like Saw 1, and I really, really like Paranormal Activity 3.
Nice. Okay, I will give a shout out to every Friday the 13th movie, especially the one where they go to Manhattan. They literally get on a boat.
That's so stupid. It's a horrible.
They get on a boat, and this place takes on a lake. I don't know what state I don't think they ever mention what state Crystal Lake is in, but they get on a boat in a lake, and they somehow get to the ocean, and it takes them to New York City, and it's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
It is such a fucking stupid movie.
Yeah.
And then shout out to Nightmare on Elm Street. Pick one, and I'll let you have it. And then just any
You like your slashers?
of that shit. Like I said, slashers is a goat, man. Go-to shit.
That's good.
They're not in my top 5 apparently, besides the shittiest Friday the 13th movie. But yeah, no, they're definitely my favorite to watch.
Well, hey man, do you want to get together and watch Halloween, like the 2018 one? I have it on DVD.
3000%.
Oh yeah, dude. We'll vlog some of his scarier scenes.
We'll do what we did with the Stoll part, and I'm literally we're gonna fake watch it. Like we're gonna
watch Freaky Friday, also starring Jamie Lee Curtis, and then we'll be like, oh, we're watching Halloween.
Yeah, and not only Jamie Lee Curtis, who has been mentioned plenty in the podcast, but also in a part that you listeners will not have heard. I did mention Lindsay Lohan, so you can just use your imagination to decide what I said, but it was positive, I swear. Today's episode is also brought to you by Lindsay Lohan. Hope you're doing okay. That's literally all I can do for you. I hope she's doing fine.
Is she actually dead right now?
She probably is. You hate to see people struggle.
I think you're gonna like how I edit this one, man.
You're gonna put that part right after what I was. You're gonna end it with Lindsay Lohan. That'd be really funny. It's just me. I just love, well wishes, whatever.
Yeah. Well, that was an hour and 20 minutes. That was way longer than I thought. I thought this was gonna be our short episode.
Damn, an hour and 20.
Yeah, our last one is actually shorter, and that was like stories, legitimately.
That's fucking insane.
I know, it's crazy. But I think we just get rolling whenever we actually have good equipment, or like it's going well for us. All right, well, thank you so much for tuning in once again. Please go ahead and listen to the rest of our podcasts. We have 5 episodes now. This is number 5. This is This is number
4.
This is number 4. More important than that dumbass number 5. So please check those out. Go ahead and follow us on Spotify, or basically legitimately anywhere podcasts are available. Give those a view if you'd like.
Or else, yeah, no, for sure.
Or we'll send all of these horror movies at you.
Yeah, we're not on Apple Podcasts. I'm not sure why that is, other than I imagine it's just because the app we're using is owned by Spotify, but like you would still think that they would do that. But
okay, well, if you listen to podcasts on Apple, we don't need your fucking viewership, all right?
And fun fact, that's actually the shittiest podcasting app in the world. So
that's not even a joke.
Just use Spotify, anyways.
Yeah, I would say use Spotify, unless you know something I don't. Craig, why don't you take us away with a sick rap? All right. Craig?
Did you hear any of that?
No.
Oh, dude, I just dropped the fucking sickest bars.
Dude.
See, and I if you asked me to do it again, I couldn't, just because it wouldn't feel authentic. So I guess it's lost in time.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
That's okay. Hey, thanks for doing it. Like, I'll have to just imagine that was amazing. So, good job, man.
It was really good. So thank you.
Yeah. Do you want to get together and spoon?
Yeah.
All right. Cool. Well, I'll see you in a couple seconds. Because I forgot to mention when we were talking about Fantasy League, I did forget to mention that it was my girlfriend that got me into that. So, and I'm not just saying that because she ripped my head off because she listened to it, and then she was like, and then she was like, well, Craig mentions his wife, but you don't mention your girlfriend.
Damn, dude.
Even though I'm the one that showed you fantasy, I'm the one that created you in fantasy. I'm not even saying it because of that. I just wanted to.
Well, and we do have to cater to her because she is 100% of the female audience, actually. So this podcast. No, I think a second female has listened to it since. But if we can literally see the analytics, and we have 2 females that have ever listened to our podcast.
Shout out to my girlfriend. Thanks, baby. I love you.
Oh God.
Okay.
Like
Craig, you're cutting out again, buddy.
the guy's
Go back.
sister
Go back.
ends
Oh,
up surviving
no, Craig, no.
movie. Whatever. The
Craig, go back.
only reason
Craig,
I picked that movie
Craig.
is God damn it to hell. I'm back.
I can't hear a word you're I can't hear a word you're saying, bro.
It's hard out here for a pimp. Yeah, my internet's getting fucked right now.